All right, so this is page 3 of chapter 4. And sometimes the students will ask, what do we go to today? And I always tell them it's either from like 8 to 12 average, but they must have asked me quite a bit before, so I put 26 to 38. Now don't ask, so anyway. And I think this is also one of the earlier ones that I did. I kind of tried all the different fancy ways of bringing the text in, so I'll have to hit some of these twice. Okay, so we start out with history. This is written information about people's past. So our geography class is not a history class. Okay, it's a social studies class. World history is a history class. U.S. history is a history class. Geography, we talk about things today, people and places today, and how they're affected. We may mention a historical event to put some context into what we're talking about. Then we talk about prehistory. This is the time in people's past before written records were kept. Things were passed on through stories being depicted on cave walls. Stories were told to groups of people around a campfire, and then those stories were retold and retold. What usually happens, though, is those stories change, and the accuracy is in question. But they're told and retold until they could be written down at some point. We also gain a little information from some fossils and artifacts that have survived the literally thousands or millions of years of time. Okay? So the word state is an independent unit that occupies a specific territory and controls its internal and external affairs. So we refer to as, of course, we know our United States. Okay, these are states, and there is some local control within those states. But we also have over here the continent of Africa with countries within the borders of that continent. And so this is a country. These are all countries. They can be referred to as nations, but also we can use the word state when referring to those countries. Okay, nationalism is loyalty or devotion to one's country. We can also say patriotism, pretty much the same thing. I remember back in, it's hard to say that this is almost 20 years in our past, but 9/11. All the kids that I teach now weren't even born then. So September 11th of 2001, 9/11. And after that event, there was a lot of patriotism, a lot of nationalism, nationalistic feelings. People were buying flags, flying flags, doing all of that. Then as the weeks and months and years went by, that kind of went down to where we were before that event. Okay, so a democracy, in a democracy, citizens hold political power directly or indirectly through elected representatives. So our country has an indirect democracy. So we vote for the people that we feel will support our thoughts and our ideas, versus direct democracy like they had in ancient Greece, where most citizens could participate in the government. They were even paid, and then they alternated or rotated through the population. But again, we elect representatives, and we're going to be doing that. Today's Wednesday. Next Tuesday is the 2020 presidential election, and I'm a little concerned. I'm going to vote for Trump, but we'll see what happens. It's been an interesting election process this year. Okay, so a monarchy is a ruling family headed by a king or queen. They hold political power, and they may or may not share that power with their citizens. These governments also have a prime minister, kind of handles day-to-day affairs of the government, but the ultimate position is the queen. And then I asked the students, right now, in this time, 2020, she is 94. And I asked them, she's still married, her husband's alive, is he the king? And of course the answer is no, he is not. He is a prince of something. And the reason is because it's her family line that has the power. So when she passes away, and she's been queen for many decades, literally, you can see all the different presidents from the United States that she has had a picture taken with. But where was I going with that? So when she passes away, it will be her son that takes over. So the oldest descendant of that person is who takes over. If Charles is unable to, then it would be his oldest son. If that son isn't available, his brother, his younger brother would be. So it's a line of succession. Okay, a dictatorship. In this one, an individual or group holds complete power. And got a few pictures here. This one shows Adolf Hitler. We've got Joseph Stalin. This is Saddam Hussein over there. Benito Mussolini, fascist leader in Italy. And I should know this one, I believe, the country of Chile. I hope I'm not wrong, but I'm just going to say, my guess is Augusto Pinochet, but I'm not sure. Not remembering that one right off. But these are some examples of dictators over time, and they've done some terrible things. I don't know if there's any dictators really that have done good things, but. Okay, communism. All political power and means of production are held by the government in the name of the people. One I don't have here is socialism, but it's kind of similar to communism. Kind of a debate right now with Biden and the Democrats. I feel like they would really like to see socialism. But anyway, there's been a long line of countries that have been communist countries. And this is not really sure what year that was. It's got to be at least after 1989, but the last ones are China, North Korea, and Cuba. And even there's some maybe changes going to take place. So now this one over here, communism, it's a party. They're all got their drink cups and lampshades. Anyway. Okay, a megalopolis. This was formed when several metropolitan areas grow together. So we've got mega, this is Greek for huge, large, and polis for city. This one here goes from Washington, D.C. up to Boston, Massachusetts, and it's about 500 miles. They call it the Boss-Wash megalopolis. Basically just one city running right into the next. We have kind of a mini version up north, starting at about Santaquin. There's Santaquin. What is next? Payson. You've got Springville, or Spanish Fork, Springville, Provo, Orem, Linden, Pleasant Grove, Lehigh. Then you're at the other point of the mountain, the big point of the mountain by Salt Lake. And you get into, everybody refers to that whole valley as Salt Lake, but you've got Sandy, Murray, Draper, Taylorsville, Salt Lake itself, then north of that into Bountiful and Ogden. And it's just, you just go from one city right into the next. This one shows an area of Mexico City, and this is New York City, I believe, with, I think this is Central Park. So, well, anyway, I think that's what it is. Okay? All right, economic system. So this is the way people produce and exchange goods and services, whether you have a command system, whether you're free enterprise, market economy. Those are some different types of economy, how you produce and exchange those goods, how you sell them. So economies are very important for these nations of the world. Okay, I'm going to spend a few lines here. We have natural resources. These are the materials that are on or in the earth. For example, trees, fish, coal, things that occur naturally. Okay, and then we're going to break down natural resources into two categories. The first of those will be renewable resources. Those can be replaced. So trees and seafood and others. So if a company goes into an area and they harvest some timber, as long as they're going to manage it, they take care of it, they replant trees, then they come back, 20, 30, 40 years later, those trees have grown, they can harvest more timber again. But you've got to take care of those areas, keep replanting, and don't just take it all out of one area, just take little bits here and there. Same with seafood. You can't just go out and get everything you possibly can. Companies have to be given quotas, so they take a little bit, but the rest is left to reproduce, and it'll continue to be there. So that's why those are renewable. Okay, non-renewable resources are those that cannot be replaced, obviously. Metals and fossil fuels that took thousands of if not millions of years to form and develop. Once those are used, they're gone. That's why recycling is so important. I grew up watching my father gather metal, collect it, and process it, and run it up north to the Provo area. It used to be Spanish Fork we'd take it to, now we take it to Provo, and sell it. And I do that. It's more of a hobby for me, but I enjoy doing it. If you know what you're doing, you can process it in a way that it'll be worth more than if you don't process it. If you just take something and recycle it, they'll give you a certain amount. But if you take the aluminum out or the copper or whatever, divide it out, then it can be worth more. Anyways, got some pictures of some pretty amazing mining equipment. This is a big strip miner. You can see there's a guy right there. It's a very big, large piece of equipment. Okay. And our final one on this page, gross national product is the total value of all goods and services that are produced annually by a country. So let's say in the United States that we have a company that has a factory in Brazil, and it's producing products for that country. Okay, those items, that money is counted towards our GNP. So they've also started to have another one. It's down here at the bottom of this poster. It's called the gross domestic product. So when it's gross domestic product, it's just the money and resources, the products that are within that country, that are produced and made there. And this chart shows the countries, the relative size of the country indicates the relative size of the gross domestic product. So the United States has a lot, Western Europe, Japan. Look how big Japan is. Japan's about the size of the state of California, but they have a large GDP. Russia's a huge country, but look here on this map, it's very small. China's pretty good sized, a little bit in South America. Look at Africa, almost non-existent. There's a few countries there, maybe 4 that are even visible there. So anyway, that's the GNP. Okay, so that ends our page 3 on chapter 4, and thank you.